a serious issue which I think is affecting the whole country, veld deterioration and bush encroachment. You can't do anything about bush encroachment if you're in a communal area. And I think it's a bit of a travesty. 80% of the production is produced by us communal farmers. If you want to preserve the veld, give it owners. Let it be owned and see what happens.
Today, we thought it's a good idea to bring someone practical who has done it and can share the real experiences of running a small to medium scale livestock farming in the communal areas of Botswana. And he will explain more about the operations that he does.
Some people are allocated farms, not because they have a track record like mine, because they have a better bank balance and they have what is looked at as a reliable job. Generally speaking, there is too high a percentage of farmers who have been allocated farms, not necessarily based on their merit. Big game changers, one would be land acquisition, because if I'm hitting the numbers that I'm hitting now on communal, imagine if I was in a fenced farm.
This is unusual in a communal setup. The averages many years ago with the ministry was that the average calving rate was around 40%. But I mean, to get 76% in a communal setup, it's quite an achievement. That's why I just needed you to really talk to why.
Just have a think about how you want to farm. Assess your area that you're going to farm in, and then assess your breed as well. And assess what you want to achieve.
Welcome to the GrowthWell podcast, where we tap into a well of knowledge, innovation, and leadership to fuel Africa's growth. Here, we explore thought-provoking insights and expert knowledge that empower individuals and businesses to thrive across the continent. Whether it's personal development or professional advancement, our conversations inspire action and impact. This is GrowthWell, where ideas flow and growth begins. Let's dive in.
Hey guys, this is GrowthWell Podcast. At GrowthWell Podcast, we have fun. So here it is. When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and at the back of my mind, I hear my conscious call telling me I need a girl who's as sweet as a dove. For the first time in my life, I see I need love. Sheer delight, how sweet. I got to find myself a girl to make myself complete.
I would.
There you go, boss.
Patsalelwa. Letsa mmino ga nke ke palelwa, ga ke mosoroto wa go talelwa, le ke letsa o tla talela, salela. Morago ha o sa utlwe molao, se ga se dipina dipolao, o di tshwere khapha wa sekebekwa, bo tshwene matlho a peleka. Ke di keneka, bo kgweshane ba sala ba temeka, na ke iketlile ke relela, jaaka metsi ke sesela. Ha gona go felela, mmina tholo ke ba peneka, ke ba shashara, ka re mosimane wa patsama, ha ile gore wa phazama, mabela a kgomo a tlhakana, le a pudi se ke molao, wa ga Fosta Juliano.
Excellent! You still have the touch, buddy. Welcome to GrowthWell Podcast. We are back, and today we carry on with the agricultural series. And today we thought it's a good idea to bring someone practical who has done it and can share the real experiences of running a small to medium scale livestock farming in the communal areas of Botswana. And he will explain more about the operations that he does. But before we do that, I just wanted to acknowledge that our guest is a past rapper. I used to follow hip-hop big time during the days. He even blames me for taking that career at some stage. So as you can see, before we started this, we threw something there just for the sake of old school and for the sake of just fun of it. And I wanted to say that whatever you do in life, try at a spin of fun. Life is not that dull. And they say, if you want peak performance in whatever you do, just build some fun to it. The neuroscientists say, if you want peak performance, you have to have fun first. There we go, Mpo. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I agree. You've got to have fun. You only have one life to live.
Absolutely, man. So
you
thanks
gotta,
for throwing those lines.
We've got to make the most of it.
Yeah,
I'm a bit rusty, but...
Yeah, freestyle, man. Why not? That's what I tell people, as you age, as you get older, you know what the hell?
Exactly.
And people can say whatever they say, but so long as you have fun and you show people that, embarrassing yourself and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I tell you what, no one ever looks bad having fun.
Exactly.
It always looks good.
So welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I'm so forward looking to this. And we've discussed this, and you actually, I think you were, after you watched the Dr. Sento show, we had a chat.
Yeah.
And you even teased him to say, really? Do you really mean that there are no successful farmers? Cut the whole story short. He then up say, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mpo, in terms of, and here, make sure first things first, this is Mpo, Jules Mono. I don't know if the Jules you still use a lot.
Yes.
But I also have to make sure that I have a disclaimer here in terms of conflict, because Mpo is also my young cousin. So it's very important that we leverage that. So Mpo, we grew up together, and the farming thing, we know exactly where it comes from, and he will show and he will demonstrate some of the heritage that we've got from our parents and our grandparents. So it's something that's quite dear, not only to commercial aspect, but also to the inheritance of our family. So we'll share that with Mpo. So Mpo, in terms of just your, what I call the theology resume or virtue, who is Mpo, so that our listeners really appreciate this very complex guy who does so many things.
Who does so many things.
Yeah.
It can be a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
Doing so many things, because sometimes Mpo Jules, apparently the third name ke Pheko.
Yeah, Pheko, yes,
but
I remember Pheko.
apparently that name in full ke ngwana Pheko a gae.
Hey, I never knew that. Okay.
For some reason, I think I was always going to be the last born, as you know. Our family dynamics.
Yes. Just explain this in English. Pheko ya gae. What it means, because it means a lot. It's very loaded.
Oof. Pheko is like a charm, isn't it?
Yes, it's like, the family charm.
So if you say ngwana Pheko ya gae, you're saying he is the charm of the home.
Almost like the good luck charm of the home.
The good luck charm of the home, yeah.
That's it.
Something like that, yeah. And now I'm thinking about it, I'm linking it to Odisa, and I'm seeing the correlation. Motswana re leina le be seromo. So maybe
that's where it connects.
No, I was born in Gaborone. I've been told Princess Marina Hospital. Yeah, I grew up in Gaborone, but as you would know, Buti, almost every weekend,
That's right.
Ko Barlon Farms, ko motseng o bidiwang Pietswane, the wider village, so to speak, ke Hebron. That went on throughout my life, probably until ke hetsa Form 5. School holidays, ha go tswala gompieno, in the afternoon, mona mogolo tsere the day off from work, ra palama ra gae.
BF95.
I
remember that.
Mazda.
Yes. No, I think BF95 was the Jeep. I think the Jeep was still young, isn't it? The Jeep, yeah.
Okay.
It was an earlier Jeep, yes.
But there were always BF95s. Even the Mazdas, I think you could continue it.
So the same plate.
Same registration, but different cars. I think so, but so every school holiday, ke go gae, and the difference is ha ke le go gae, either ke go sakeng kana ke go dikgomo, ke ile go disa. If not, then ke lela go a go disa. One of the three. And then when I was old enough, ke be ke simolla ke a ko morakeng yano. Ke tswa you would know that ko gae no gona le lesaka le ne le
By the
kopanetswe.
homestead, yes.
All my uncles and aunts, autata, our grandfather, le mona mogolo. It was largely managed by my father, mona mogolo, and then o na ana le morako e leng wa gagwe. So when I got older, I started going there more, and I would go there for the whole school holidays. Yeah, so that's how the livestock farming seed was planted.
In you.
There. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, it's amazing because you are making me now to recollect even how I went through it. Because as you said, you know, your dad, Remono, I mean, that was a hell of a farmer.
Oh,
and
yeah.
farming both cattle and also crops.
And crops, yes.
And at some stage, I don't know if that was before your time, he actually won a bonus with BMC where he was taken to England.
Yes.
You remember that?
I remember that, yeah. He was a consistent producer. I think at some point he was running a herd of about 250 to 300 Kumara King. And then Mochai, there was even more, probably closer to 400. But about half of those were his personal livestock. So yeah, he was probably selling twice a year around 50 at a go. So he was probably selling about 100 every year. Yeah, consistently to the BMC. And le gona ha rekisa prime. No gona le super and prime. I can't remember which was which, but the very top grade.
Yes, prime. Yes,
yeah. All field
grown,
produced.
Yes. The real tasty Botswana beef coming from the field.
Oh yes.
In the communal areas.
Oh yes.
Yeah. No, he was. And I don't know. You come from very, very famous people, and then obviously there comes your mother.
Yeah.
Mem Mono, who was a
master.
They say the longest headmistress for Lesedi Primary. I don't know if it's the longest across Botswana, but she was a headmistress for Lesedi Primary School for the longest time. Yeah.
It was definitely over 30 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was, a lot of leaders now, leaders in whatever sense.
They come from Mam Mono's time.
From Mam Mono's time in Lesedi.
No, he produced.
And she was a hands-on head teacher because she had, she was hands-on. She had the day-to-day running. She was in touch with the students and everything.
Just reminds me that even because I went to Lesedi Primary School all the way from standard 3 to 7. And then also the current vice president, Ndaba Haolatli, went to Lesedi Primary School.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And the siblings. And all that. And I can name all sorts of people who went to Lesedi. It was really produced. And Lesedi at the time would sometimes even compete with Botswana in terms of A's and B's. That's how hot.
Over 90% A grade.
It was amazing.
Pass mark.
May her soul rest in peace. And she's late. And obviously Remono is 94. We're just talking about him.
He's 94. Yeah. He's lived a long life as well. May Mama's soul rest in peace.
Absolutely. Back to the topic, Mpo. We are running this series about agriculture, and we went through Dr. Sinto talking about the whole landscape because he visits farms, commercial farms, communal farms. Even other livestock like pigs and chickens, and he kept reminding me because I was biased towards kept putting me back in order. Stuff like that, and we shared quite some insights in there. And then we also had another podcast where we were interviewing a land expert around how we leverage land for productivity.
Okay.
So you came to mind, and we discussed this because you have. You started very early, and you are special in that, as you said, you started very young as a Modisa. But when anybody looks at you right now, it's like, this guy. So you had a bit of a conundrum, you know that?
Even before, look, I was a rapper. I'm into hip hop. I'm also in my professional life, I'm a chartered architect and construction project manager. Yeah. So it's very hard for people to grasp. How can he... And it started early.
Yeah, I know. It's very early.
I remember, I don't have many memories, but there's this particular memory where I think I was about 6 years old or so. For I can't remember whether it was the holidays or a weekend. So I would be one of the earliest up, and normally ke a ko sakeng. Batla mphitlhela ko sakeng. Mona mogolo wa go mphitlhela ko sakeng.
Young as you were.
Nna ke batla kore I couldn't wait to wake up and ke ko sakeng.
What's that number? Let's tell
So go na le modisa a bidwa Ntswela. At that particular time, on that particular day, no gona le 2 cows di tsaletse ko nageng. You are familiar with this place, so I'm gonna say it. Babo Hebron lebo Pietswane, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Basically, how do you say it in English? A drinking place for cattle.
Like a stream, it's really a valley.
It's where valley. Water collects.
And so when I woke up, he's going to look for these 2 cows. I'm 6 years old, and we go off. We walk probably about 2 kilometers or so. Both of them did it. So we drove the cows back to the kraal.
With the calves?
Yes, with the calves. When we arrived at the kraal, Papa was there. He was so impressed. He was so happy. He actually unchild. I'm going to say it in Setswana.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly the point where it started. In terms of myself collecting the home.
You are so happy that he actually gave you a cow and calf.
Happy and proud.
And very proud.
And very proud,
Yes. Now, before you go into the details of the farming, I would like to just revisit, because I see that you've won some awards before as a rapper. And I know, so just tell us about this Channel O business where I don't know whether you are one of the first ones or you were amongst others that won the Channel O. And before that, again, these names, I remember I wondered why, from Mr. Doe to Fosta Juliano, why the names and, it looks like Kifikile, the song made a whole thing. These guys, when I talked about, they could remember Kifikile.
Kifikile and Hot to Death.
Yeah.
That's the video. So we made a video to a song called Hot to Death.
Okay.
But in the intro, Kifikile.
Okay.
Yeah, those were probably my 2 biggest singles. This was 2005. Well, Kifikile was released October 2004. And then Hot to Death beginning of 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I released my first album. So that video was the first from Botswana to win a Channel O award.
Wow.
It was joint with, I won Best in Southern Africa, and DJ Fresh won his first award as well.
Is it?
Yeah, so it was
at the time he was still a broadcaster at...
he was already in
South
SA
Africa.
at the time.
Okay.
So 2005.
So he won an award. Yeah, he was already gone. Yeah, he was already gone.
I think the awards were actually 2006, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Or 2000. I can't remember. Hey, it's so long ago. And I haven't been thinking about it.
Big up, dude. Big up, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a hell of a achievement at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's etched in history.
And the names?
The names. Mr. Doe came from Doughboy.
Okay.
Doughboy, if you remember, was Ice Cube's role in Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
That's how it came. You never told me so,
Because
I love that movie. It's so touching.
It's a hell of a movie. It's a classic.
Boys in the Hood. Classic.
Yeah,
classic.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
And of course, it had Ice Cube, who had come from NWA
with the Easy-E. Yeah.
And because I was so heavily influenced by Ice Cube, my friends started calling me doughboy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then as I grew, I didn't really want to be like another Ice Cube. So,
yes.
So someone added the Mr. in front of dough. And
Mr. Dough.
Yeah. Fosta Juliano was just Mpo Jules.
Okay.
So Mpo Fosta.
Yes.
And then Jules Juliano. But the Juliano came when I was studying in the UK, in England, in Manchester.
Yeah.
I roomed with some Italians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And everyone there called me Jules because it's easier to do that. But the Italians, they sort of interpretation of Jules is Juliano.
Oh, in Italian. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. So they started calling me Juliano.
Okay.
And then when I came back, when I made the switch, the switch was also like growing up.
Yes. Yeah. Just another phase.
My content was getting more mature, and I felt like I should, my name should come closer as well. So that's how it came about.
Yeah, beautiful. You miss it? Or I heard when you were on Scar that you said you are now just a fan and admirer of the music.
It's nice.
Life has got faces. You know?
Yeah. When I was on the podcast, it's now more enjoyable for me to sit back and watch and enjoy. Yeah. Because I'll be honest, it's all about the pressures of growing up and responsibilities, and then priorities change.
Yes.
And then whatever you have to do has to be sustainable. It wasn't sustainable because it was all self-funded. And I realized that in order for me to get it where it needs to be, I'd have to abandon other things, and I couldn't do that. So it was a choice, and
and obviously you got family now. You got the kids, and you got time and resources. Excellent. No, I mean you're right, because I still enjoy, actually, even with my wife, your sister Nancy, we still enjoy a lot of old school thing, and I still, when I listen to KRS-One, man, KRS-One, Naughty by Nature, Public Enemy,
those guys
don't
were
believe
special.
the hype.
Those guys were special.
So
the effect is long lasting.
Yes, it is. Cool. Back to farming. So tell us about your operation, how it all started. You were linking us from when you were still Modisa through your dad, and how it all evolved into now your current operation there in the Kalahari by Khanzi.
Yeah. Like I said, Nikili Modisa ko gae. Probably the best. I was even better than Badisa because ba ne ba khona go timetsa dikgomo di nyelela for about 3-4 months, di pomo gongwe di tsamaya di a se hoa, so to speak. And ha ke tsena when I task myself gore ke a go di phuta, ke a go tla ka tsone almost 100% strike rate. Ke pagama dipakane ke re ka dinao, do what 15-20 kilometers a day, and it's not flat terrain, it's up and down, it's around bushes, etc. To cut a long story short, mona mogolo na ntshwaela that first cow kana mane a yone ele na magadi. The following year he challenged me to gore ha nka ka mosia on a sponsored walk ya Christ the King Cathedral ya Roma,
where he was very active, where the family was very active.
He tried being sneaky on me. Arwan Tia.
Racing.
So the bet was that during the sponsored walk, we're going to have a race. Whoever wins, if I win,
okay.
Yes. So that's how I got my second one.
Okay, it was obvious.
Well, I was still quite small. I think I was about 7 years old at the time.
Okay, so
the third cow in much later. I think Form 2 or something. So as you know, I'm a very hands-on hard worker, and I'm quite good at doing Zamorak. They tried to come, and his cousin, Rakubo, Jackson Mahashula. Again, and he was good moho hagoleng and stuff. So at that particular time, we'd have to brand 50 calves at one go. And I was there like from beginning to end. Because I was strong enough at that time. Towards the end, I was just commenting gore kgomentle mo go maswe re tshwere yana wa bona ra ko ba re tseetso tlha ko no tshwaela ngwana kgomo e wa e rata o thotsa ba re ka tsatsi lotle
That's count number 3.
ndala ba re nya ra go siame le ntshokeletsa le tsogo mmehela wa bua ba ntshwaela that cow. The last one was also another proud and happy moment for him. Dikgomo ne di phatlaletse go lengwa go le dipula ka go le dipula ya. So like I said, nna ne ke rata go dikgomo, ke rata go thiba dikgomo. So ke be ke a go di phutha dikgomo tse ne di seo. Be ke rakana le bone ba ko tshimong. Nna ke goroga ka dikgomo.
Okay.
Again, he was so happy and proud about it. O itse gore ke nkgomo e tshwenyana ele ya gore ele a e supa yana ke a gago. So in my life, mona mogolo ntshwaetse dikgomo di le 4.
Wow.
And what he used to do was every time ha rekisa or ha nka nna le kgomo e tsetse tonanyana. Namana ya teng ha nna pele sa e rekisa.
We swapa ka
wa e changela o mpha namagadi. And that's how I got started. By the time I went to the UK in 2001, I had a head count 32.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's a head start. That's a hell of a head start.
Oh, yeah. When I came back that December, I went to the UK in September 11th, 2001.
Yeah. When hell broke loose.
When all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
I came back the December, did another head count. Sorry, when I left, it was 28. When I came back, I did the head count, 4 of them did 30, so that was 32.
Okay.
And then from then on, I started losing count because I was spending 2 years away,
yes,
1 year away,
in the UK,
etc.,
and so forth.
Yeah. So by the time I came back in 2009, ne ke setse ke sa itse gore kgomo ya ka ke gape a ke re ne ke sena tshipi
no di itse ka mebala hela pele
ne ke di itse hela ka mebala le letsalo la tsone.
Okay.
But as soon as I landed, one of the reasons I came back from the UK was ne ke batla go rua dikgomo.
After you graduated with your architectural
with my after I chartered in 2009. So I came back in 2011 ke be ke bona someone ona a ka nnosetsa in the Kweneng West area. Ne ke lebile phulo, ne ke lebile metsi. But I also wanted to break away from
being home with the rest of the family members there.
Because I wanted to commercialize.
Correct.
You know. So ke boela go mdala ka mdala kana na last ke bala yano ne ke le go 32. I'm sure gompiena ke bo 50 60, you know, whatever. Mona mo lo thara mona na ke thole ke ditse.
Gape ga tega diata o sa simolola sa ditse diate.
Me kana netsa go kutsega.
They don't multiply.
Netsa go kutsega. So ha ke ba bolela gore no ke bone metsi ke bone go go phulo e leng go diteng. Ya no ke batla go tsaya dikgomo tsa me. Mona mogolo ba nthare no. I'll replace dikgomo tsa gago with 10 heifers. 10 heifers from the last count at 32. It's okay. And then I bought 10 heifers from him. So that was 20. Hela ke lebile go huduga. Bo ba mpitsa for a meeting. Mona we ha o ka kwa bo kgakala bo kana o tsamaya ka kgomo di le
20 hela.
So as a show of faith, we will double.
Beautiful.
We will double your number to give you a start. So that's how I got started. With
40.
Ke batla po ya red Brahman. Hey, katsama. There's another story that I'll tell you around the fire. Gone go banyana kwa ke tswa go heta teng. Ha ke heta go banyana be ke heta ke ole be ke go kgabaganya go pitsane. Tole ke a Vryburg.
O batla po.
Ke batla po. Found a bull called Cronfee Brahmans. That was my first bull, Ekibidu. Brahman Ekibidu. So ha ke huduga yalo ya be etla be ke hudugela ko morakeng.
Ya gore go ile le tsone.
Ko morakeng wa me. E gorogile rile a goroga gompeno rile ka moswebe relays.
Nice.
That's how I got started. My my setup,
which was in the communal area, and just remind the viewers where it was in the Kweneng by Dutle. Is it Dutle
by
or
Dutle,
yeah, Dutle?
In the Dutle, Dutle.
Okay.
So the proper livestock boreholes, they have they don't have another borehole within 6 kilometer radius. But it's open lands. Anyone has rights to the water
can graze
anywhere.
Okay.
So in uduela monthly per head. Khomo ina le price ya yone, namane ina le price ya yone. Dihutsane, which is small stock, dina le price ya tsone.
To pay the borehole owner.
To pay the borehole owner
for the water.
Okay. You agree, it might be 20 pula per khomo, 10
unit.
pula per namane.
Okay.
Yeah. My operation is for beef production. Go dira nama. So that's the core of the operation. Go produce the either tollies, tse ileng gore di ka tsamaya tsaya ko feedlotong. Ha ile gore go na le a good feedlot market
and a good prices.
Or dipelesa tse ileng gore they go for slaughter.
Okay. Oxen, yeah.
So that's the main thing. I made a decision early on to go to try and up my quality as well. So there were a few pure Brahmans because mona mogolo na ntse a dirisa di
Brahman
so I was intentional, Kere. I'm going to upgrade the quality as well. My choice in a red Brahman. So that has brought another section into the operation, which is go rekisa di poana. They are commercial for now. We will eventually get to stud.
You had an idea of stud that early?
I had an idea of stud that early. If I had the resources, I would have gone for it then.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, some females. Not often because I'm trying to grow the herd with no funding. with no land ownership, so to speak. I sold 10 heifers in 2020 to one of my friends. They're still doing the work for him now.
Okay,
in 2024, 2025. I sold 10 heifers to you.
Yeah,
I'm 2022.
one of those. Yeah.
I hope they're doing
very well. Not a problem.
I've caught up with your farm manager. He's told me that actually, when they arrived, he was stunned. He was like, "What kind of Brahmans are you using?" Because I think that they're quite thick.
They're
thicker than what you would expect.
Correct.
We're not,
and they are daughters to that bull that you bought from Cronvay.
So they are,
or most of them.
Most of them are actually granddaughters. Some of them great granddaughters
of that original.
Yes, of that original Cronvay bull. Because I think all the roots of the females now, they go back to that bull.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that time, I've had 3 stud bulls and 1 commercial, which could have been a stud. I think it's just that it changed hands and it was never registered.
Okay.
Yeah. After that Cronvay bull, I kept it from 2011 to 2017. 2017, I actually bought a grey bull. A white bull from Loriza Brahmans. Why white? Why deviate from the color?
From the red.
Yeah, at that particular time, I was chasing some characteristics. I wanted to add a bit of frame.
Okay.
I wanted to add milk. They are renowned for milk. And also and docility. And also, I think I like that particular bloodline. Rayon was the great Loriza Impi.
Okay.
So the Brahman connoisseurs will know. Yeah. And then from there, I got this commercial bull that I still have in my herd, popularly known as Wingspan.
Okay.
He's a well-balanced bull for us. What's proving
Are you going for the large frame Brahmans or medium frame Brahmans?
No,
What's your
I don't want to go too large, but I don't want to go too small neither.
Okay.
So I fluctuate with the bulls. I fluctuate because it's difficult to get the perfect bull.
That's correct.
You keep correcting. You keep correcting with the bulls. Yeah. Wingspan is a more of a medium frame. It's got good bone. He packs beef well. But the biggest thing that I've discovered with him is that his heifers are very fertile.
Oh, really?
Yes, because in 2024, 92% of the 2021 heifers dropped a calf.
Really?
Which is
Brahman.
Yeah,
I mean, you expect to go right up to 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah. So by the time they had all turned 3 years, they had almost all dropped a calf.
Oh, really? Beautiful.
Yeah. So he's proven to be very fertile. And then the other current head sire is it's popularly known as Falcon. Well, registered Falcon from Wayside Brahman.
From Wayside, from Angus.
Yeah. He's a bit bigger than Wingspan. Good length. Again, good bone.
Registered stud.
Yes, stud. And this is where I think I've got enough now to actually register stud.
Okay.
In terms of quality and in terms of
and readiness. I mean,
readiness.
The work. I mean, the work is that takes some work too.
2021, I started taking down data. Before that was all memory. Yeah.
I want to, before you carry on, because you've been talking about the animals, primarily the bulls, the heifers and all that, and the offtake. I just like also to understand the felt. The felt, whether you got ticks, whether the whole operation and what is the challenges. I mean, you are. I think when you're around Duty, I don't think there are predators, but predators is always an issue.
Oh, yeah,
they just clarify for us the sort of challenges that you have around and how you mitigate them to make sure they're still as effective. I know we haven't talked about your moving later on, but just that one, and also you can relate to just being in a communal, because the big thing here is that can we really make it within a communal?
Within a communal.
With a communal.
I think it's possible. It's difficult, Buti.
Oh.
It's very difficult because a lot of things are not in your control. So it's very difficult.
And I remember one time, I really felt for you. When you lost your cattle, I don't know whether it was a rainy season and they disappeared. I was like, sheesh, man is really suffering here. Remember when you used to go there just to look for the cattle? It was actually, you can connect to that story.
It was actually just after moving to Dutwe. Oof. Oh my God, they got lost so many times. Oh my God. Oh my God. The first month was okay. And then what happened is...
They have to do
Yeah. So, what happened was we stumbled upon the Kama.
Okay.
The Kama had this siya di ralla di khomo be di pathala be di siya le tsone. Mo khomo siya nga.
It just keeps running.
And that was in the second month. We rounded them up. Luckily, within, so we moved in September. In November, di kgomo tsa be di timela. Modisale ena ba sa mpolelele.
What's about two?
Yeah, about 5 of them at the time. And at the time, I moved to 40.
40, I remember that.
We lost one along the way. So it needed 39. 5 out of 39 is a lot. Yeah. In February, I found one. Motsileng hela ke tlayana in an area called Lomao, which is between Mabuane and Takatukwani. So didn't I didn't Yeah. I found one, took it back. And then that winter, 8 more. 2 months.
The struggles of communal.
That's how I knew that area. From that day. I was working at the time. I mean, working for someone else at the time. Yeah. ke ikopa leafy, ke tsamaya, drive 500 kilometers up and down in that area.
You're scaring all the young people. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I don't want to do this.
No, the long and short of it.
That's communal farming for you, isn't
you
it?
have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be ready.
Yes.
You know, they all see the pretty pictures now.
And they think it's honky-dory. But there's a hard work behind that.
You have to be able to. You have to be able to withstand that those challenges. Ke yone challenge ya communally. There's no control. The cows will go anywhere. They'll get lost. Fortunately, all those 8 cows, I recovered them. Yeah. The 5 cows, I recovered 1. This is 2 winters later. So this is a year and a half later. Someone phones ko lapeng ebile ka di landline di santse di bereka. O batla go bua le mpho mmono. Luckily ndi ke goroga go le maitsibo. And I ke amoretsa ke tsa phone ke a bua le ene. O nthara we. A ga ona di kgomo tse di timetseng. Ile ala ka ri alo be ke mmolella tshipi ke mmolella mebala.
O mo tsena gano.
Ke mo tsena gano. Rate na bidwa Nelson. I forget his surname. But anyway, abanthare di kgomo tsa gago di na le lobaka di ntse di nna. So what happened is from Mabwane to Magagarape, and then mo Magagarape go na le tsela e yang jwaneng.
Ke a bona, yes.
Di kgomo tse ne di tlhaeletse mo tseleng e yang jwaneng.
Okay.
So they were up and down di nwa mo di manhole tsa the water supply to jwaneng.
Yes, that kept them alive.
It's a long stretch. They couldn't get, I don't know if they ever got to Tratam mine.
Yes,
because they'd have to navigate Tratam mine
around, yes,
in order to get to the Barlow Farms area. So fortunately, you know, I ended up recovering all those cows.
All 8.
Just like that.
Peko ate it again.
The challenges we've spoken about in terms of lack of control. There's no control. Even a serious issue which I think is affecting the whole country. Veld deterioration. And bush encroachment. You see, the topic at hand with some of my farming friends now is that you can't do anything about bush encroachment and indeed deterioration if you're in a communal area. And one of the things that I learned in architecture is if you don't make a place look like it has ownership, or if you don't give a place ownership, it's going to get dilapidated.
You leave a place, right. I mean, in a short space of time.
And I think it's a bit of a travesty. 80% of us communal farmers, 80% of the production is produced by us communal farmers. And maybe linking it to what Dr. Sinto was saying, my interpretation was that there's too much land that is underutilized. That was my direct interpretation of what Dr. Sinto was saying. For me, he was saying that there are too many landowners who are underutilized in their land
that they have. Part of it is the poor control as well.
Part of it is the poor control, even in the fenced farms. So those are the challenges communally. At the time, I also didn't have water rights, so I didn't really have a say.
You depended on it. I remember you had bore issues.
It's difficult go ra mongwasidi ba hore no a re dire yana wa bona, because they are the owner. You know, if you don't have any ownership, they might feel offended, but at the time we had a lot of breakdowns. In 2022, 27% of my breeding stock aborted. Because of
inconsistency around water.
Because of Linyora, basically. We had so many miscarriages. 27% in 1 year.
That's
a hit.
That's almost 30%.
That's a hit.
You ended up moving.
I ended up moving because I got an opportunity someone invited me to join a syndicate
Mm-hmm.
in the Khansi district, around the Lokalane Longtree area.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, we partnered up in that syndicate and we made it happen. We drilled,
Hit water.
hit water, good water. So things have improved.
Do you own the water rights now? Collectively? Or?
Collectively,
Okay.
yes, as part of a, as a
syndicate.
member of a syndicate.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. This after in 2021, I acquired another team, basically. But it's very well placed, very well located, Momahulo, in the Dutwe area.
Okay.
And I drilled 250 meters and hit a blank.
Sure.
And then after that, a blank. There was a company that was advertising themselves. What they do?
They can find
They
water.
do survey and drill. Yeah. I tried my hand with them February 2022. Up to now, paid a deposit.
Blank.
No, nothing to show. They still haven't come.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a company that there's an ongoing judicial management attached to them.
Okay.
They owe a lot of farmers a lot of money. They took the deposits
From farmers, yeah.
It's some of the challenges. It's part and parcel of the journey.
Yes, of the ecosystem. The ecosystem. I mean, we've had experience with truckers, with everybody in the ecosystem. You got to get like, hey,
yeah. So yeah, eventually I got this invitation to the syndicate and joined the syndicate. We ended up drilling beginning of 2023. We equipped and I moved there March 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to 2 years now.
It's more than 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
March 2023?
Yeah.
It's going to 2 years.
Yeah, it's going to
Hasn't
2 years.
even been. Yeah. It feels like longer. Yeah. Feels like longer.
So you've moved from communal to another communal. Are the challenges really the same, or there's something unique about your operation where you are now?
The challenges are the same. The big difference is that I have a say in the water operations. The other thing is that I've managed to pull, to reticulate to my crawl as well, which makes a big difference.
Okay.
I didn't at the previous.
So you control your own watering?
Yes.
Full, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's been the biggest improvement. In terms of pasture, the pastures are similar, or the veld is similar. Slight differences here and there. But yeah, otherwise everything else stays the same. Yeah.
Now, you talked about your farming operation in terms of, you referred to data earlier on.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to elucidate on why you think you're making progress as a communal farmer. Where is the evidence that you can say there is traction here in terms of making a good product out of the veld or communal farming?
I think one of the most basic ways...
And I'm saying this, I have a friend who has who also inherited from his parents, communal, and he farms in those areas, past Otse on this side.
Okay.
Otse to Shosho. And he was saying, maybe patala with the rains and everything, and then water issues, what is. He's like, I've had it. So he's selling. He's selling now. He decided to sell. And that's why we need to really debate this issue to say, can it work or can it not work? So that's really the objective, so that people can know whether we're going to, or actually the product can work.
It can work, and I'm speaking out of experience. It worked for my dad, Munamogolo. a lot of it hinges also on your talent to spot good workers. Yeah. And a little bit of luck. Yeah. I struggled kabadisa
For a long time.
for a long time. I had one very good mudisa and someone poached them. Only tota o ne a senyetsa ngwana wa Modimo botshelo because Mthagate is not even with us. I eventually allowed him back after 2 years. He just abandoned.
Oh.
A tsewa ke mongwe.
Okay.
I brought him back eventually.
He came back after being poached.
Well, he didn't last at the other place. He only spent a month or two. In the second month, and he was regretting every time I'd see him. He'd be like, I'm back. And I couldn't trust him. And I told him I couldn't trust him. Okay. And he didn't take good care of himself. But, after about 2 years or so, I said, you know what, let me just take him back. It coincided at that time. But unfortunately, he didn't last long. He was becoming very sick. Yeah, he passed on. I contributed heavily towards his burial. But I also kept him on a full salary, even when he was, I think the last 3 or 4 months, he was totally
incapacitated.
Off. Yeah, I'd still buy him groceries and give him his full pay.
Nice.
Yeah. But the difference maker is usually babereki. Yeah. Most of the time, it works. Yeah, because babereki ha ba bona gore you are as good as them. Normally they pull up their efforts.
They copy and they replicate. They know your expectations because you've demonstrated.
Yes. And if ule ko mrakeng or ko plasing and mmereki a ba bona gore mothaka o ga se gore wa ntlhoka wa itse, they kind of maintain those standards. They know gore ga se gore wa motlhoka. But of course wa motlhoka because if you are like rona matshelo a rona mo toropong. So it's possible. But first you need to be lucky. Tshwanetse re bone modisa or badisa ba ba leng good. It's part of the talent that you have to have.
Yeah, so talent is one big thing.
Dilo tse di tshwanang le dikgomo di a rutiwa. But me and you, re godile re disa dikgomo. Ne re bolla le tsone, o kgona go di disa ha gare ga masimo. Yeah. Go na le tsene di le di-stoutu. Di tlane di leka gore di ye go ja masimo o ntse o na le tsone.
Di kgona go gadima ebile di bona gore wa kae.
E nngwe e tsamaisa yala ka style. But o kgona go e kgalemela gore hey e be utlwa. Yeah. Just like everything else, the dikgomo are trainable. So go kotsa go timela is also the routine. Get them into a routine. That's the first thing. So yeah, in terms of progression and collecting data, I started I think 2021 was when I really started. But all I was doing, I was recording births. And then I decided, no, if I'm recording births, I need to know exactly when the cows are gonna calf. So later on, I think in 2022.
Can I just to clarify? Do you have a breeding season picks? I'm not sure. There's nothing that's difficult in the communal.
Yeah,
is to control your breeding periods and your bulls going into. So how do you do it?
I could, but I don't because
so they are there throughout the year.
Because my numbers just didn't justify it.
Sure.
Ne ke batla gore kgomo at the first opportunity ya gore palangwe ke po. E palangwe and conceive. So that's why I measure annually. I don't measure per season, so to speak. Yeah. So I started helaka birth dates, and then later on I went into service dates. When does this cow get served by the bull? And it was just collecting that data.
And you get the guys to note. They've got No, now every Modisa has to have a booklet.
I supply them with airtime.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to put that in their hands. I supply them with airtime. Ha kgomo e palangwa, they let me know.
Okay.
Now, how do I know? Because ke ba laetse gore kgomo ha e ropile. And I've taught them gore kgomo e bona yang gore e ropile. We know the science. Whether e palama dikgomo tse dingwe, dipoana will usually detect kgomo pele. Poetona will probably ignore kgomo until it's almost really ready. Yeah. So they look out.
That's why you use the young ones as teasers. They can tease the old bull. To say, hey.
Yeah. So all those things show them how to identify a cow in heat. Yep. And when they are sure the cow is in heat, it stays behind with the bull for 24 to 48 hours. So it stays behind in the crawl. Yeah. So they when that is done, they send me the date. And to make things even easier, because they'll say, hey,
they take a picture.
No, well, they do actually.
Okay.
But to make things even easier, because some of the pictures I get, they might not be as good as I am. So you can't tell exactly
which ones.
So apart from the tags, I never left.
Which is easier for Badisa, isn't it?
Oh yeah. When I say number 1, they know which one it is. When I say Khoriamacha, they know. When I say Magasi, they know. It makes it so much easier. So that's where it started. And then right now, we're even taking birth weights. Again, now we're going
practicing for start. Yeah,
we're taking birth weights. We're taking 200-day weights, but because we don't have a scale, we use a measuring tape.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we convert. Yeah. The trends, I'm now capturing data where I can see which cows are calving at what interval. Where I can get the rates, percentages, of which I got one rate embarrassingly wrong recently, but the long and short of it is that I think I got excited, Kilibetsi, a certain batch of cows. It was actually cows that I had bought. Yeah, and I hadn't loaded them into a particular spreadsheet. Yeah, so it gave me
a wrong figure. So the denominator was wrong.
Yeah. But anyway,
George, but tell us more about because calving rate is or birth. It's one of the critical indicators for any farming operation in terms of how you've progressed in terms of just calving. Because calving is an indicator of productivity, whether you have unproductive cows, whether you have unproductive felt, whether you're not feeding properly in terms of nutrition as well, in terms of your phosphates, leaks and so forth. So, and also, as you said, how your farm workers are also controlling the breeding, as you said, in terms of checking. So how have you done in that regard, in terms of calving?
In terms of...
Now that you are measuring.
Yeah. In terms of calving, I think in 2022, which was that bad year where we had 27% loss, it would have been one of the best years had it not been for that. We recorded 63%.
Okay.
Yeah, the following year, 2023, we recorded 67%. Yeah, and last year, 2024, we've recorded actually right down to 76%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The most pleasing thing is that, like I was saying, 92% of the heifers, the first-time calvers, calved.
Really?
So, yeah.
Because those are the notorious ones. I mean, even with our, so to speak, range operation.
Yeah.
As you know, you've been to a farm and we've got different camps and you have the heifers.
Yeah.
I mean, they usually would score the lowest
Yeah.
calving rate because, they're quite difficult. And as you said, for the first time, they will differ a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that you say quite a good percentage all.
Yeah.
And that's, again, the fertility of the bulls and the fertility of the genetics of those heifers.
Yes. No, I've been quite intentional about culling cows that either don't catch easily, that don't conceive easily.
And long intercalving periods.
The ones that get repeated. You get those for various reasons. Yeah. And I think that those water problems sharpen that because a lot of cows were having problems conceiving. So the ones that conceived survived. The other thing to note is that as we sit here, with all our production stock, they are either lactating or they've been served by the bull. 100% of them right now as we sit here.
Is it?
All our production stock. So that is all cows 3 years old and older. So 36 months. Anything from 36 months upwards. There are some that are even younger. Last year we had a cow that calved at 25 months old.
Really?
Yeah, she's one of our youngest. This year we've had one that's been served by the bull. Not this year, I mean last year, 2024, December. We had one that was served by the bull. She was born in April 2023. Yeah. Wow. I don't know what that makes 16, 18.
18 months.
18 months, yeah. So she'll calve at about 27 months. Yeah. But that's an...
Then we'll discuss it because you wouldn't think, again, I know the genetics are changing, that a Brahman line would be that fertile. Yes. I mean, we monitor, for instance, we've got the Chabre, the Simbra, and now the Limousine.
Yeah.
And our observation is that the Simmentals are very, 15 months, guys are, very fertile and they perform.
Okay.
Charolais takes,
they take longer.
Yeah, they take longer.
Yeah.
And then the limos are somewhere in between. I mean, this is the data we're keeping.
Okay.
So as far as I know, the Brahman is also not renowned for, so it's quite interesting because after this, I want now to discuss why the Brahman, just to a bit unpack your choice of Brahman and how it's doing for you specifically. Yeah. But back to the calving rate.
Back to the calving rate. I was giving examples of early calvers. I realized that first Crown V bull, the first time, its first crop, there was only one female, the rest were males. And I think you mentioned that. There was about 16 calves.
Yeah.
One was female. You know that female calf, it calved at 25 months old as well.
Wow.
So that was the first time I experienced a Brahman heifer calving that early.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the ones that I said, last year is actually it's an F1 cow.
Oh, okay.
The dam is a pure red Brahman.
Okay.
And the sire is actually a Sussex bull.
Oh.
So she's an F1.
Okay.
I guess it's that hybrid figure. Yeah. But the others is just pure Brahmans. So I think the most pleasing thing is right now where we sit, all the cows are in production. There's no cow but
I hope you get my point. My point is this is unusual in a communal setup.
Yes.
The averages many years ago with the ministry was that the average calving rate was around 40% around communal. I checked the figures, statistics Botswana a few weeks ago, and they were talking now around 55. I don't know how believable they are in terms of now national calving rate. I was just thinking maybe the commercial guys and the farms have sort of moved the dial a bit up.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether strictly communal or an guy. But I
Mm.
mean, to get 76%
Yeah.
in a communal setup,
Yeah.
it's quite an achievement.
Yeah.
It's quite an achievement. That's why I just needed you to really talk to why. Why are you able to get those types of, apart from, you mentioned Badisa,
Yeah.
in terms of control, the genetics obviously play a key part.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you think you can underline.
The veld as well.
The veld is good.
The veld as well. I intentionally picked areas where the veld was good.
Okay.
Yeah. It's probably some of the best veld, Gwening West to start with. And then the Ganzi area is well renowned for that. The only problem that I'm saying is bush encroachment. Yeah.
Even in the Ganzi area,
the degradation is not bad because I think you're near this 6 kilometer radius. It's really helped. Now, we've got a system whereby a lot of people, but the advantage, yeah, mo masimo. In areas where that has happened, there's no grazing. Yeah. There's no
cleaning
grazing.
up and
Yeah.
bush encroachment just
but
takes
people
over.
are doing that because they feel like they don't have another choice. Applications, Asidiba, you identify, but to get an approval, Asidiba,
it's a nightmare.
yeah,
And you've tried
I've
many
tried.
years.
I've undergone it. We'll see where it ends. But I'm trying. Yeah. The only way to get your hands on land is purchasing. Yeah. And just going back a little bit, the start that I had from inheritance was the stock, which is better than most people out there.
Yes, you're not starting from zero.
Yeah.
You're not starting. You had a base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of infrastructure, in terms of or anything else, even the tracking, even everything else, just down to myself. Yeah. So the one
and yourself,
way,
you mean hard work,
yes,
resources, funding that
resources,
from your pockets.
funding, self-funded. Yeah. Very difficult, as you would know, to secure a loan for livestock farming.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't have a pay slip.
Correct.
If you are not employed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay slip.
You may do it.
Title over your property,
yes.
over your land.
Yes.
Which fortunately we just had a podcast with which says right now people we argued a bit about it that you can actually get a title for Moraka. So we'll see about
we'll see about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. The big game changers, one would be land acquisition. Because if I'm hitting the numbers that I'm hitting now on Communal, let's all, imagine if I was in a fenced farm.
Yeah.
Secondly, the capital. I have a target in terms of breeding stock. I have to get to a certain point. Right now, if I grow organically, so that is without selling any females, but probably selling the males so that they can sustain the operation.
Yeah.
I'm growing at 26% this year. And then 14% of the breeding stock. Breeding stock exclusively, yeah. So what that means is that at the end of 2025, cows that were born in 2022 join. Yeah. At the end of 2026, cows that were born in 2023
production,
join.
Yeah.
Hela jalo. Yeah. If I continue the way I'm doing it organically with no support, no funding, nothing, I'm going to reach half my target at the end of 2027. Yeah.
2027.
If I grow it organically. If I'm to 10x it, I need funding. And it can be either funding to increase stock or it can be funding to give me amnesty in terms of running costs. Right?
Working capital type thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But no one really funds running costs.
No. That's not very common here.
But it's either one or the other. Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that because if you don't have, I was listening to government officials over the dry season. When the dry season really pushed with the heat and everything.
Yes.
And then on TV they're saying,
bad.
cows are bad, everything. Please buy supplements. It's like, where do people get money?
Where do people get money for that?
I thought they said so easy. Get protein. I was like, dude, people already, the cows are dying now. Where do they get money? Especially in the communal areas.
Yeah.
So the issue is, if you don't have proper nutrition, if our felds don't have phosphate, if you don't get leaks, it will affect production.
Yes.
That's period.
Yes.
So as you said, if we had working capital instruments, it actually boosts production and it can actually pay for that. Yeah. Am I right? You are right. Definitely.
So what I meant was, if I had that working capital, say for 2 years, what it does is it enables me to grow my herd at double the rate.
Yes.
Because what happens is, instead of getting rid of half, which is males, and using that that income to fund the operation, then I could replace with females. With females, so if I was to have that amnesty for 2 years,
it will boost your production. It will really boost your targets.
Oh yeah. It means I'm basically doubling my production. And then at the end of those 2 years, I can actually pay it all back in full with interest at the end of that 2 years. Yeah.
Interesting.
Knowing my numbers,
interesting.
Knowing how much it cost me to maintain the operation per month. Yeah.
And the records are there.
Yeah. But no one looks at the records. I've had plenty of meetings with commercial banks, the agricultural sectors. I've had lots of conversations with two personnel, Kosida, one Mohaborone, one Kohanzi. And I'm just hearing issue your pay slip. You have to I think
and you're an entrepreneur.
they are very risk adverse in that sense, But if you look at myself and what I'm doing, there's virtually no risk. There is virtually no risk. I mean, if I've survived this long doing
and
this,
that track record does not convince anybody.
No, it doesn't. Unfortunately.
Interesting.
And that's why we need to, and it leads me to something, to an issue that's been discussed by some of my farming friends, like I've said. You get people, and it links with Dr. Sinto's prognosis. You have people outside of the farming industry who buy into the farming industry. So it creates a somewhat, I don't want to say fake. I want to say...
Even though you already said it.
It creates a fake impression of what is really going on.
The reality, yes. It sort of blinds or hides the reality.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is why farm prices are as they are. Because someone that can afford it with money from outside farming came and bought it. You see, now when they get tired of farming or they can't cope or whatever, they need to sell it
at a higher price and
at
make
a higher
something.
Price.
Yeah.
some people are allocated farms,
Mm.
not because they have a track record like mine,
Mm.
because they have a better bank balance and they have what is looked at as a reliable job.
Mm.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
Someone has talked about on this podcast.
Mm.
Someone has spoken about NDB really being for the government workers or whatever. Basically taking loans. Yeah. I mean, very early on, I actually went to the NDB offices and said, "Man, I want to start a farming enterprise."
You're in agriculture. You're biased towards agriculture.
And the front desk officer that was there at the time told me, and I tried to knowing some people and saying, look, and it's all about relationships, really. Actually, my syndicate partner told me, in order for you to get finance from a bank here, you have to have someone that believes in you and your operation, working within the bank, who is influential enough to say,
to campaign and speak on your behalf. Yeah.
Approve him, he will not disappoint.
Mm.
And back to NDB, the front desk officer told me, no, maybe nka tsa program ya ntatlhosa ko morakeng.
Okay.
Yeah. And someone spoke about it on the growth
yes,
podcast.
Yes,
I can't remember whether it was Dr. Sento.
Yeah.
And my impression at the time was that this is a bank for farmers, And they said, but you have to have a pay slip. Yeah, you have to have a secure job. Then what's antatlose? 10.
And you wanted to scale.
It's geared towards subsistence farming.
Subsistence farming, exactly. Yeah. It's not going to scale the numbers that we are looking for.
No, it's not. Yeah. No. And just going back to the land matters, I was trying to relate it to it's people from outside farming who can afford to buy.
Yeah.
Or even if you are in the industry, you have to, most times the resources are from outside. Myself, possibly yourself, probably yourself, and many other farmers out there. So the whole point is it's not sustainable.
By itself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the scale of the farms that we have, to build infrastructure, water infrastructure, fencing, paddocks, there's no way that farm can do it by itself.
No.
That's why, like you said, we have to chip in.
Yes.
Yeah. And also it's a long-term investment.
It's a long-term investment.
And we are first-generation farmers, so you have to start from that scratch.
Yes. Yes. And I say the same for myself because apart from the stock,
everything I
had to start from scratch. Yeah.
How do you correct this? I mean, and it happened because when we applied, this is quite an interesting observation. When I applied for the Banyana farms for the first time in 2011, and then they were allocated. In the industry, we know the guys that know the blood and sweat of farming.
Yeah.
And the guys were rejected.
Yes.
And some were allocated like, how did this
happen?
How did this happen? So this is sort of a trend that goes on.
Yeah.
That's quite surprising.
Yeah. No, the allocations have nothing to do with talent. Well, they do. To a certain level, but generally speaking, there is too high a percentage of farmers who have been allocated farms, not necessarily based on their merit. Yeah,
that's true. Even land board. I mean, I have to give you an example. Go, at our farm in Sandveld. I mean, I think about what I think about you every time I pass those farms. There are farms which are in operation. There are farms where guys have been allocated through the land board, but they're just doing nothing.
Nothing.
At some stage, they got a bit scared because the land board was threatening, and they put one line of it.
Yeah.
And those farms are total, and there are a number of them within Sandveld. It's like, how do you have this and then you have people like you that need, to operate and optimize, and you are ready and you've put the sweat and you've proven it?
Yes. First of all is the way they acquired it. They're just fortunate. It's not like they went out and really look. I've applied go Mangwatu.
Yeah, with all these land applications at the farm, all these adverts. I remember,
I applied go Hanti.
There were some.
Go, I think it's Okwa. Okwa Valley, the farms there. I applied go Banyana at some point. I think maybe the second.
These are the ones that came.
Maybe the second
lots. Yeah.
Lots. The third lots, I didn't even apply. They contacted me, but I should apply. No, because it's you put everything into it, and you try to show on paper, or I can make this work, and it's simple. You had to have a healthy business standing, so to speak. I don't know. I don't know. I've applied for borehole, livestock borehole allocation. The stories with that, So now what I think the policy should be, the people that are actually doing it in farming are there. Practically, the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture should have an ID team or whatever, get out of the offices and get out of town. Identify
the guys that are crafting.
But I'm running a JPM Farming, which is my company. I'm running a page on Facebook. You can just look at the activity, and all the footage on that page is original footage. Right up to the last month. Original footage. Just look at the activity at that page. I'm averaging 300,000 eyes on that page per month.
Yeah.
In October last year, I think it was my highest hitting month with over 1 million views.
Wow.
Over 1 million views in 1 month. And you know what I did actually? I thought, because if you are a business, probably a product-based business that's looking to sell things in volumes, you need eyes on your product.
No, sure.
Yeah. Botswana, I would have had proposals from businesses saying, look, we want that 1 million eyes on our product. Yeah. I approached one of the feed producers that I use mostly.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah,
those are the good targets.
Yeah, I spoke to the marketing manager there, but our conversation is Mopiho. Yeah, but I bet if it was the owner, they'd probably take an interest.
Yeah.
But basically,
well done with this. Yeah.
This is actually, I'm all over the place. But this is actually another facet. I'm doing content creation from the farming
perspective,
which has a lot of eyes on the business, right? That could be another income generator.
No, absolutely. Yes, you are right. From a farming point of view.
Yeah. If someone sponsors the page or run adverts. I have ideas of how to run an advert within my content so that it's not intrusive.
And why is it not happening? Why can't you monetize?
Look, I don't want to monetize through the Facebook advert.
Yes. You're going to do it through...
Yeah, I want to do it through businesses here.
I got you.
I want to do it through businesses here.
But I wanted to ask you, why is it such a hit?
This
JPM and the page. We're talking farming in general. We're talking about the tough operations in a communal area.
Yeah.
You've got the site, a lot of interest. And then you got all these challenges and
in the background.
How does it add up?
I think it's because a lot of people can relate with it.
Okay.
I think you have a lot of aspiring farmers.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think the relatability is the most important thing. Most people that view that page can imagine themselves being there. And by the way, the number of people that tell me how much I've inspired them.
Oh, really? To go into farming?
Yeah. But even on a personal basis, there's a cousin of mine who actually started after visiting me. We both know him. There's a few friends of mine who visited me and then went on to establish their own.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that is why that's
so
the
you're
primary.
a contributor to the industry, really.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Beyond just your operation, you know.
I think and that's why I share so much of my journey on that page of my farming journey on that page. Yeah, it's mostly to inspire, to get eyes on the industry, but not everyone is going to be a farmer, and not everyone is going to be a successful farmer. But you never know. You might spark the right person to come into it. Yeah. I have triple detoured because we were talking about what needs to change, right? And I was saying there are indicators out there for farmers who are doing well despite their challenges, especially Babamo Communal. But
Dr. Sinto said the same thing. He's visited farmers who said these guys are raising enough money on an annual basis to cover the costs and get their Land Cruiser, and they craft.
Yes.
They work.
Yeah. Yes. The Ministry of Lands and Agriculture needs to go out there and identify those people and have a plan. We have such and such lands demarcated for fenced farms. Even some of those farms that are not being utilized. I don't know what stops the authorities from identifying those, you know, and do what they need to do in order to
put them in the right hands.
To put them in the right hands, yes.
Otherwise, you just have land. As Dr. Zinto said, it's not producing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the first thing to do, identify,
to know who, where is the land that's not
who's
being,
doing what,
exactly,
where.
Exactly. Yeah.
Look, at the moment, I probably have enough quality, and I'm not saying I'm the best out there. I've got the best quality out there. I've tried to buy the best quality genetics for what I can afford. Right. But right now, I'm not even in a position where I can prepare my stock enough to show them, for example. But I probably have animals that are worth showing right now, including the current head sire that I got from Wayside Brahman.
Yes, you've showed
He was
me
a show bull.
Yeah.
You know?
Beautiful bull.
But I just don't have the resources to
properly prepare him and take him to Hansi.
And also to be able to time my breeding so that I don't need him at the farm at that particular time.
Yes.
Etc. You know, and he's not the only one. There are some really good up and comings. But yeah, that's where we stand, you know.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, we're coming to the end now. We have to answer this question, because you've talked about your struggles and where that's 76% still sticks out on me to say, and I hope the farmers out there see what's possible. Yeah. But what's possible with the hard work, with the, not just hard work, but being strategic about your genes. It's decisions that you've made collectively. Yeah. Checking the field, making sure you have control over the water, having the right skills. That's a combination of things that can give you the results. Is that a good summary? Yes, that's a good summary. And again, when we keep going back to the field, degradation and bush encroachment, if farms are in the right hands, let's use you as an example. You're busy debushing. You know,
if it's not in the right hands, it will never get debushed.
And you carry on cattle making it worse.
Yes.
And then even more.
They get worse and
encroachment.
worse. Yes. If you want to preserve the veld, give it owners. Let it be owned and see what happens. Yeah. And I think in terms of improving the funding facilities as well, I think the authorities, the funding authorities, need to seriously look at not just
payslips,
the payslip and the bank balance.
Yeah.
They must really have a look at the operations as well, and maybe it means they should also get out
and go and see what happens.
And go and see what happens. You know, if I schedule a meeting with one of them, it shouldn't be at their office. It should be at the farm, so they can see what's happening. I think that could improve things. But basically, it's a combination. It's not one thing.
It's not. It's a combination of things. Why the Brahman? I'm eager to finalize on that good note. Because people love breeds. I mean, I tell people why we went into limousine. You know, first, kunwana just melts me. And then I used to take these rides into South Africa, sometimes going to Cape Town and passing all those farms with limousine. You know, I'll park the car by the fence and just look at these mid-frame, you know, it's kunwana. And I was like, that's it. And then you just get the right time where you say, it's about time I do this. So Brahman, and whilst you're at it, so that the viewer can know the elements. I mean, earlier on we talked about docility, we talked about frame, we talked about milk, you know, all those things that in the end, a farmer makes a choice in terms of, and cleverness. I mean, legs, you know, walking, all those type of things.
And by the way, I think the Brahman has a notorious reputation because I think possibly first of all, they are a very intelligent breed. They are literally intelligent. So they won't just stand for anything and everything, right? But I think the bloodlines that were introduced earlier on to us as Batswana were possibly the ones that gave it the reputation that it has, which is Ibusilo.
It's not easy to tame,
things like that. But also there's a little bit of confusion because Boran looks a little bit like a Brahman, and it probably has some traits of Brahman. Karaure was probably developed through Brahman. The Nelore, they look like Brahmans. The only difference is that they have smaller ears, but they are very much like the typical bloodlines that we used to know. But when I looked more and more into it, first of all, the reason why I went for the Brahman is because it's unique. I think when you see a Brahman, you know it's a Brahman. Just the shape of it, first of all, because that's the most
unique features. It stands out.
That's the most prominent, The second, I lean towards the red Brahman in particular, of which it's very difficult to get genetics.
I see, especially in Botswana,
I mean, we've only got one red Brahman stud breeder in Botswana. Stud breeder, not just breeder. It's a problem. But even when you look across the borders and even overseas, the pool is smaller.
Small.
It's a problem.
What's
for
the
us.
difference between the red and the white? Does it make a difference?
No, I don't think there's much.
So it's mere aesthetics.
It's aesthetics. Okay. It's aesthetics. Of course, the grey having a wider pool gene. I think the phenotype seems to be a bit wider as well. It shows itself with a more variable characteristics. So that was the first thing that drew me to the Brahman. The second thing is hardiness. They're hardy. Apart from the indigenous breeds, they're the most hardy. By hardy, what do we mean? Low maintenance. The
ticks.
The I learned they actually release a certain pigment or a certain they excrete a certain oil or something.
Apart from the smooth skin. I mean, usually typical people say because of the smooth skin, they're not easy for ticks to stick on.
For ticks to stick, for flies, or any other external parasites. They are well renowned for walking. So how are blind?
In a communal.
Pulo scarce.
They go.
They can go, yeah. They
Hopefully they come back.
You know what? Actually, remembering Taha Monamukul.
They used to go
He used to have the Brahman saying, the hula, some 9, 8, 9, 10 kilometers away. But every morning,
they are
a name that I've retained in my call, by the way. Yeah. And recently, we've seen that Brahmans come as thick as any other breed. So the weight, the rapid growth.
Now with the new genetics.
Yes. And the mothering.
Oh, the mothering.
Yeah, the mothering, you can't, But because of a combination of those, they are also more fertile. Because they can survive better.
They can survive. I mean, they say it can be, there are different levels of, when you observe a cow in terms of its state, in terms of drought and condition.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have, so they say sometimes you can have a stage 2 where it's really not in a good condition, but it'll still be serviced.
It will still be serviced.
It will still be serviced.
In fact.
Whereas other breeds.
In fact, most of my cows, di palangwa di anyisa. Especially if they are coming off the dry season. We tell di bopam. Well, re tla re di bopam. Maybe dinale body score condition 2
years,
maybe 3, but generally 2.
3, yeah.
They always catch first time.
Yeah.
They always conceive first time, and they always drop a calf, no problem. Most of them are naturally weaning. So by the time we at 7 months old,
But did you deliberately look at all these things before you decided on?
I did.
Because I've seen farmers, some of them wanting to buy heifers, or they just come. We like that. That Chevrolet. It looks nice.
Yeah, it looks nice.
I'll buy 20 heifers. You're in a communal. Yes, you're in a communal. Do you know that these guys can walk? But then the guy spends the money. So did you look at the?
I did. Everything. I was very intentional about what I wanted to do. The very first reason why I wanted to move out of Barlon Farms was because I realized it's not extensive. There used to be when our fathers were farming there.
Correct, yeah. Now
and then these 10 hectares, 6 hectares, and I just realized it's going to be so congested. So everything from moving out of there, and I decided on the breed. I said, okay, apart from the fact that that breed, but every cow, it's
beautiful.
You might like the color, you might like the stockiness or whatever.
And the ears and the agile. I mean, they're quite agile in terms of your heifers and your tollies.
If it's Brahman, so I was intentional in everything that has accumulated up to where I am now.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Master Doe. Now, I hope we inspired some young people. Especially startup where you go into communal and it's extremely tough. So is there any last words that you just like to share with someone who is inspired in terms of what would you say are the sort of first steps and the character that's required? Something that we didn't discuss because of time was why sometimes I tell people why farming or dealing with the earth is such an important factor for human well-being. You know, just like you say, I know you took your family there, and just exposure of kids to the earth to see that you can work with your hands. You can, you know, those type of things. Would you agree with that? And how would you inspire the young ones to look at those type of things?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. You know, I find my most peace when I'm out there. Granted, we are not all the same. We won't all be farmers and we won't all be successful farmers, but it's worth having a look at. That's why I share so much of my story, so that to get eyes on it, you might spark someone's interest and they might be like me, you know. But first and foremost, I think if you're going to go into it, just have a think about how you want to farm. Because some people want to farm intensively, more 10 hectares, but if you are going to do cattle, you're going to be prepared to feed.
Correct.
Yeah. I didn't want to do that for my own reasons, knowing my limitations. So that's why I chose the breed that I did. So first and foremost, if you are going to go into it, analyze how you want to do it. Yeah. And it might extend to small stock, going for small stock rather than livestock, because 10 hectares, maybe you can easily rear 100 small stock in there.
Even plant 5 hectares of it for the small stock and be able to.
Whichever way you want to look at it. And then if you're going to go into livestock production in terms of beef production and cattle, as I do, assess your area that you're going to farm in, and then assess your breed as well. And assess what you want to achieve. I said I'm selling tollies and or oxen. That's the main.
Yes,
how are you going to reach that? You know, you might want Charolais because they will put on weight. That might work for someone else. You know, assess, do your research. And especially, our Facebook farmers. the page is very busy, but
the stuff you get from there.
The questions that we get, oh my God. and my wife is always telling me, hey, the customer is right. Just be calm.
Yeah. You can't get too excited.
Just be polite and answering. And it's difficult.
Yeah.
Because I think, I don't know what it is about us as Batswana. And I'm going to be very honest. I think re thusiwa thata. So
That's true. There are too many programs that have a strong sense of entitlement that comes from the system. And it kills our entrepreneurial.
Exactly. We have the highest sense of entitlement, and I think it contributes to our unhappiness.
That's correct.
Because that entitlement builds
resentment
expectation.
And resentment towards the system.
Yeah, it builds expectation. And then when that expectation is not met, it builds resentment.
Unhappy resentment.
Yes. But now as I am, I like finding things out for myself. So, it wasn't by chance. I actually went and researched about breeders. At that time, the internet was not as accessible as it is. Ke ne ke reka di Farmers Weekly, ke reka di stock farm.
Stock farm,
which is a very good magazine.
Yeah, it is.
And I was actively searching for Brahman breeders, and I found out these guys, what do they do? And I got interested and I ended up getting a bull from them. Milibo and I didn't just phone up and say, I want to buy a bull. I phoned up and, found out about the operation. I already had a good idea by then. So that's what people should do. We're very reactionary. If you post an advert on Facebook and you give information, the first thing that our people will do is ask you about that same information that you gave. Location. Price. This and that. Yeah. So I think we need to improve in the sense of just do your research, you know.
Put time, and invest in time.
Yes.
Put time, and nothing comes easy. I mean, that's the essence of it.
Yeah.
No, great, Mpo. Thanks so much. No, it's been awesome, and I hope they really benefited, especially the young farmers, even the farmers that have been farming communal for a long time. I'm sure a lot of wisdom from this young man. So thanks very much. Appreciate it. And please check this out. And as usual, share, subscribe, and see you at the next episode. Cool.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of growth and discovery. We hope today's episode has inspired you to dig deeper and rise higher in your personal and professional life. Keep tuning into the Growth Well podcast for more stories, insights, and strategies to help Africa grow and thrive. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell.